Welcome back. I know yesterday's was long. It was a longer parable, so there was a lot to kind of cover there. So now we're diving into a small part, and this is in Matthew 20, verse 17. As Yeshua, or Jesus, was going up to Jerusalem, he took the 12 disciples aside by themselves and said to them as they went on their way, "We are now going up to Jerusalem, where the Son of Man will be handed over to the head priests and teachers of the law. They will sentence him to death and turn him over to the Gentiles, who would jeer at him, beat him, and execute him on a stake as a criminal. But on the third day, he will be raised." Okay, so there's not a whole lot to really delve into because this is something he's already talked about. He's prepared the disciples for. He's been telling them in different parts and giving a little bit more insight. And this time he's giving them another layer that he's going to be turned over to the Gentiles. It's not going to be just the Jews involved. This is also going to be the Gentiles now. So it's going to start off with the priests and the teachers of the law who have been trying to get rid of him for some time now. And then now it's also going to be turned over to the Gentiles. So this is another layer. And then he even gives a lot more in saying that more details. You're going to jeer at him, you're going to beat him, and execute him on a stake as a criminal. And this was I think we've talked about this once before, is that the Gentiles' way of execution was with this stake that looked like a cross. And this was done only for non-Roman citizens, um, for those for the criminals that they really just wanted to make an example of. That he's telling them again that it will be a third day. On the third day, he'll be raised. So it's kind of remarkable that as many times as Jesus told them and prepared them and even gave them more and more layers of details, that one, their minds were still blinded. They didn't fully understand it until later. And that during those 3 days, they were still in grief and hiding, not understanding, not really putting everything together. It wasn't until after he was raised to life that they finally put the pieces together. But it's just mind boggling how many times God can tell us something, yet because we're blinded, or the fact that we have our own expectations and what we expect or what we think should happen and how things should go. I mean, Peter, just the last time he corrected Jesus and said, "That's not going to happen to you." But we put our own interpretations on things. And so whenever we interpret that way, then when things happen the way God has told us it's going to happen, we don't fully get it. It's kind of hard to understand. Sometimes when God tells us something or he reveals something to us, we put our own interpretations into it. We put our own understanding of the circumstances, or again, our expectations or what we're wanting. But it's not necessarily the best way. Just like Peter did with Jesus. He was saying, "Well, that's not going to happen. That's not how it needs to happen. Um, you got it wrong, Jesus." Go figure, right? He's saying that to God, that you got it wrong. Um, but he's saying this should be how it happens. This is the best way. And Jesus saying that's what you think is the best. But if I do it according to your way, then the best will not be accomplished. What needs to happen will not take place, and you will miss out on the great rewards and my generous heart. If Jesus never died on the cross, we would never have salvation. We wouldn't have his healing. We would never have his forgiveness. The fullness, we would still be making sacrifices and still under the law. So sometimes what we think is best is not always what's best, and it's better to follow the Lord's plan than our own. So we'll pick up tomorrow and we'll delve into another interesting story that Jesus has with one of his disciples' mothers.